Hello, good day. So our topic for today is taxation 101, but this is a continuation from our previous lectures on taxes. So let's okay. Hello, good day. So our learning objective for this one is number one, to be able to understand the theories of taxation so that we would have a grasp of why we need to pay taxes. Kasi normally we think we pay taxes for nothing eh. But it's not naman. So, to be able to understand the type of structured of taxes or tax structure. So, para alam natin, ano ba yung mga kailangan nating malaman when we pay taxes. Next, to identify the classification of taxes, the three classification of taxes, which we would be elaborate as we go on to the subject. But for this one, I'll just give you an overview of the classification of taxes. Next, for us to be able to know the sources of tax law and the internal revenue. Okay? So that's it. So theories of taxation. So number one is the lifeblood theory. So meaning that taxes are the lifeblood of the government and their prompt and certain availability are authoritative needs. So meaning that we pay tax simply because we need to fund all the different activities of the government. Because they say a sovereignty cannot be a country cannot be called with sovereignty if there are no government that would impose public order. And since the government is protecting us in nature and building things for us, such as the roads or the highway and anything that are needed by the individual, then it is just prompt that we would be able to pay taxes to the government. At saka kung naalala nyo, di ba, there are certain part in the Bible when the people asked Jesus, do we need to pay taxes? And Jesus said, nanghingi siya ng isang money and then pinakita niya sa tao na ang ginagamit nating pera usually there are certain people that are in the government and therefore we are also obliged to pay taxes. So upon taxation depends on the government's availability or ability to serve the people for whose benefit taxes are collected. Take note that this one, we pay taxes because we use the roads which the government build. We use the highway, the bridges. We sometimes go to some of us may have been go to the public school, to the public hospital. And every now and then, we deal with the government when we do our business. So every day, we are being in every day we usually encounter the work of the government in our daily activity. Now you would ask, how about the OFW? Remember, when we go out of the country, we still use ports, airports. So these are also owned by the government. We think that these are owned by the airplane company, but it's not. Normally, the airplane company is just also paying to the government, and that's why we pay travel taxes. Next, we also have the necessity theory. So, meaning, kailangan pala natin ng magbayad ng tax kasi necessity to sa government. So, taxes are necessary for existence of the government. Why? Kasi without money, the government cannot exist, cannot pay its worker, cannot build roads, cannot impose public order kasi wala silang tauhan na kailangan nilang pasahurin. Hence, it's necessary burden to preserve the state sovereignty and a means to give citizenry an army to resist aggression, a navy to defend its shore from invasion, a civil servant to serve public, and public works to provide enjoyment. So, if you would see, yun nga lang hindi masyado nating na-appreciate dito sa Philippines, di ba? We have our army that are needed there para i-protect tayo in case of war. Like, for example, po, di ba yung mga army natin ang daming namatay sa SAP because they are protecting the Marawi and the people in Marawi. So, they also need to protect the shore from invasion, just like what happening to China and the Philippines, that sometimes the Navy need to protect its people. So, para na sa ganun, pangisda sila doon sa place na sa atin pa. That's why we still have some some file cases at the internal court with regards to the sovereignty between China and the Philippines as to the Spratlys Island. There are also civil servant to serve the public. So, meaning, di ba, kahit naman nasa ibang bansa, we still have consul that would mitigate when we need them in behalf of us. So, public works, like yung mga parks, bridges, and anything that are like Manila Zoo. They're protecting some of our endangered species so that the next generation will still be able to enjoy its benefit. Okay. Next, structure. So structures of taxation, it would be number one, tax base. Tax base is the amount at which the tax rate is applied. For example, the taxable income. It might not be the salary because our basic salary would still have some deductions. And the tax base is normally after this deduction has been deducted. So yung tax base natin is salary less all the mandatory deductions such as SSS or GSIS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and all the union dues. So these are what we call now the tax base. Next, we also have the tax rate. Tax rate is the percentage of the tax base that must be paid in taxes. So normally the tax base is multiplied by the tax rate, which we would tackle as we go on. So that after multiplying these two, we would now be able to determine what amount of tax to be paid. Okay? We also have proportional taxes. So proportional taxes are taxes applied at the same rate to any income level. For example, the business tax. If you are under percentage tax, irregardless whether you earn 100 pesos or 100,000, it's still 3% because these are based on a fixed rate. That's why it's called proportional taxes. So irregardless the level of income, the same rate is being applied. Next, we also have the regressive. Although this regressive, we know here in the Philippines, we don't normally have this one. Because this one, the higher, it's higher, or meaning people was taxed higher kapag ka low income sila. Normally, we don't, here in the Philippines, hindi natin ginagawa kasi we want it just and equitable for everybody. Next, we also have the progressive taxation. So, ito yung sa atin. Kasi ito rin yung sa income tax natin. If you would see the tax in the tax table, it is progressive. As our income becomes higher, the higher the tax rate and the higher the tax we need to pay to the government because the government wanted to stabilize the the gap between the poorest of the poor and the rich people. Okay? Next. We also have the classification. So, the classification of taxation has three. So, we have the national. Normally, the national, these are same on a national level, meaning ina-apply siya pare-pareho from all the states here in the Philippines. We also have the local tax. So, ito yung mga business permit, but we would tackle that. And we also have the special tax law. Okay? So, we first focus on the national tax. So, national tax is composed of the following. So, national tax, number one, it's capital gains tax. Kasi, kahit nasan ka sa Pilipinas, kapag ka nagbenta ka ng lupa or ng stocks, you will be taxed under capital gains tax. So, sa lupa, it's normally 6%, whichever is higher between the selling price or the zonal value. The tax stamps, ito naman yung parang, what do you call this? Post yung dinidikit natin na stamped sa ating mga important documents. Like if you graduated, there are also some doc stamps. When we drink yung mga alak, meron siyang doc stamp. We also have the donor's tax. So meaning kapag nag-donate ka pala, may tax pa rin, yes. Because these are now the privileges. Since dahil bibigyan ka ng wala ka namang ginagawa, dapat subjection to tax. Except for two. Kapag it's for the charitable institution and for the government. Kasi 'di ba, nagbigay ka na nga sa government, itatax ka pa. So hindi 'yun ginagawa ng government. Estate tax, ito yung mga mana. So irregardless kung nasaan ka, pag pinamanahan ka, magkakaroon ka ng tax. Excise tax, these are on the privileges. Halimbawa, you are into mining. So sa bawat pag-extract mo, dahil ginagamit mo yung mga natural resources ng Philippines, itatax ka for that. Next, income tax, you would focus more on this as we go on to the subject. So, yung income tax naman, these are imposed for every earning which we are receiving or enjoying. Percentage tax and value-added tax, these are imposed on business. Pero si percentage, ito yung sa mga small-scale business. Si value-added tax, ito yung sa mga higher income taxes. Si withholding taxes naman, these are those na ikakaltas na sa sahod natin bago pa natin ma-receive. But these are also part of our income tax. So these are our withholding tax and some could also be part of our business taxes. Next, we also have the local tax. So sa local tax, ito naman yung mga ini-impose ng mga munisipyo. So yung mga amilyar, this is the real property tax kapag ka nagagawa tayo ng bumili tayo ng bahay. So, in-impose yun. The tax on business o printing and publication. So, yung mga business tax natin. But this one is particular on printing and publication. Franchise tax, ito naman yung mga prangkisa. Like, for example, sa tricycle or dun sa mga bawat lugar na pupuntahan natin. Di ba yung mga sasakyan or public utility vehicle, normally they have prangkisa. Those are what we call now the franchise tax. Tax on sand, gravel, and other quarry. Kasi kapag nag-query ka dun sa isang lugar dahil ito ay gumagalaw ka or gumagamit ka ng natural resources. So, tax din yun. Professional tax if you practice your law or anything that are given by the PRC. Amusement tax, ito yung mga sabok or mga activity. Yung annual fixed tax on delivery truck. Kasi ngayon, bawat mga delivery trucks, meron na siyang permit per state ng Pilipinas. And then, business tax, ito yung mga business permit na binabayaran natin. Barangay tax when we ask for barangay certificate. Community tax, ito yung cedula. Because dati kasi itong cedula, this also serve as the identification card of the people. Okay? Next, we also have the so-called under the special law. So, energy consumption. If you look on your Meralco bill, may makikita ka dong tax charges. So, these are the energy consumption. Because the energy being distributed to each and every one would also be imposed by tax. Forest charges. Diba pag nagpunta tayo sa mga forest or magkakat tayo ng mga trees doon, magta-tax din yon. Okay? Next, we also have the head tax. So, the head tax is normally charged on people. Pero normally, hindi ito masyadong sikat sa Philippines. We also have the motor vehicle user charges. So, kapag meron kang motorsiklo, kukuha ka ng permit for that. So, itatax ka doon. And lastly is the travel tax. Ito yung binabayaran natin na terminal fee when we go out on a different states. So, these are the different tax that are being imposed to the people. Do you have any question? But normally, this special tax are under a special law only. So, meaning there are some place that could be asking for that. And for this subject, we would normally focus on our national tax. Because national tax usually is the one what we need to pay every now and then. And if we are not able to pay that, we would now be imposed by the penalties. Okay? Okay. So what govern tax law? We already discussed this in our previous topic. So the tax law is being governed by Article 6 of Section 28 of the Constitution that state that tax shall be applied uniform and equitable, and the Congress shall evolve the progressive system. So meaning Congress lang yung magagawa. Then we also have the NIRC or Republic Act 8424, but subsequently being amended under our Republic Act 10963 or the Train Law. And the Train Law is being applicable prospectively. Next, we also have the local tax or measure of the revenue of the different LGUs. So, yun yung mag-govern naman sa ating local taxes. Okay? So, we would elaborate that further as we go through the video presentation and taxes. Okay? So, if you like this video, please help me reach out more people by hitting the subscribe and the like button below. God bless you, and if you have questions, please comment below. Bye, and have a good day. Mwah.